YouTube, what did YouTube? Down on News TV, I am Dre. We got a video coming from Mr. Patrick Bet David. The title of the video is Can't Keep Hiding. Stephen A. Smith blasts Kamala Harris for dodging tough questions and interviews. She's dodging. Never mind, I'm not even going to say I was going to make a Trump reference, but I'm glad he's still around. Hopefully, I pray that he's going to make it in the White House. Hopefully, all the stuff he's been through, man. Oh, it's crazy times we're living in, people. Crazy times, but I saw TikTok clips about Stephen A. Smith talking about Kamala, but I never really looked into it because basically the same. Back in, what was it, when Biden was running? Everybody was saying he's hiding in the basement and was afraid of doing interviews. And I believe that's when he went on, The Breakfast Club, and he said, "You're not black if you have a tough decision on figuring out if you're for me or Trump," something like that. But yeah, basically, even at the debate with Trump and Kamala, you could tell it was kind of lopsided, man. They never give my man a break, man. Just give the man a break. Let him do what he got to do. But let's see what Mr. Stephen A. Smith has to say, along with Patrick Bet David and his crew.
It's not going to continue to work. Stephen A. Smith sounds alarm on Harris copying Biden's basement strategy. Rob, if you can pull up the clip of Stephen A. talking about this, I'll read a little bit about it, but it's just better you hearing. Is this it, Rob?
Yep.
Go ahead and play the clip.
I think that she has to turn around and she's got to hit him low too. You know, it ain't like she don't have it ain't like she's devoid of the ammunition. She's got plenty of ammunition, and she's going to have to come out there swinging. Because if you look at some of the things that he said, even with the product, that's why I went off on my podcast this last show when I was talking about enough of the hiding. You know, Biden was the president. They greased the skid so he didn't have any competition for the primary, so there was no primary. And then ultimately he shows his face on June 27th, and we learned that respectfully, our president, he just didn't seem to have it anymore.
Yeah.
And so obviously the Democratic donors and what have you forced him out. She comes in there, you put her in there, and what does she do? She's using rallies as interviews. No, that's not the same thing. You got to go up there and fight fire with fire. He's showing up everywhere despite 34 felony convictions, 2 impeachments, multiple civil suits against him. He's going out there and showing his face everywhere. And then he's bringing up the war in Ukraine. He's bringing up the Israeli-Palestinian conflict in Gaza and beyond. He's bringing up some stuff that's going on with our borders, stuff that's going on in this country. And he's saying, where is she? He's doing that on purpose because it's an engagement in misogyny where he's trying to imply, I'm a man, I'm strong, I'm willing to show up and fight. Where is she at? You can't answer that by not showing up yourself. It's working now. Please don't get me wrong. I was making the point, it's not going to continue to work. You're going to have to show up and show out just like he does. Wherever he goes, you have to show up and be like, I'm here too. Let's get it on.
Tom, what do you think about what he's saying?
Chicken expert since 1990.
Sorry for the
Taco
commercial,
expert since
people.
now. New Zaxby's Chicken Finger Tacos.
Well, I agree that it's not going to work. So I agree with the core of what Stephen A. said. Hey, this isn't going to work. You got to fight fire with fire. What he is saying is, regardless of who he votes for, who he wants, his core point is correct. If you're going to run a campaign and you're going to, go up against somebody, you got to go out there and he's saying fight fire with fire because he's trying to give Kamala some encouragement, and then she's not doing it. And he's pointing out, Trump saying, who is she? So what Stephen A. is saying, hey, if we're going to, let's face it, Stephen A. doesn't have any respect for athletes that won't come get in the game. And he's right. And he doesn't have any respect for people that like hide behind excuses. He doesn't let athletes give a fake excuse when they interview. He'll call that right out.
I don't know about y'all, but after 2 assassination attempts, I'd be doing the buying strategy. I'd be in my basement. I'm like, I'll see y'all on November 5th, whenever the vote day is, and I'll come to the little party rally or whatever. And they're doing the counts, and that would be the only time you see me if I was him. He needs to lay low for a while. He needs to lay low.
And what he's saying here, hey man, you got to go out there and you got to get in the ring and you got to really fight. And I agree with him on that.
You
point.
look like you have a different idea.
Pat, listen, and Tom, I agree with what he's saying, but I don't have any respect for anyone that's this educated that knows. He just laid it out. No primary. This democracy that they're talking about, they forced this guy out. Again, more democracy. They install Kamala Harris. And for someone like Stephen A, who's educated and smart, dude, we've hung out with him. We've broken bread with this guy. How can you in your right mind say that you are voting for Kamala Harris? She's bringing nothing to the table. She has no policies. They cheat when they freaking have these debates. There's no substance. Like, when somebody says I'm voting for Kamala Harris and you say why, there is no other answer, PBD, except she's not Trump. It's not Trump. It's not Trump. What is she running for? And nobody could say it. Nobody, Tom.
Did Stephen A said he was running for her, or did he say the basement campaign strategy isn't going to work?
Yeah. No. But I, if I'm not mistaken, I mean, who do you think he's voting for? I think I've heard, Rob, that he said he's voting for Kamala. Am I mistaken? I don't think I'm mistaken.
Yeah, I don't think he's voting for Trump.
No, absolutely not, Rob. Rob, did you say you have something to say? Is he voting for her?
Oh, no, I don't know. I just brought up this clip. This is Gwen Waltz to Vinny's point, Pat, if we can play this. This is her at a rally this week where they don't talk about any campaign issues whatsoever. Yeah. It's just, we're not Trump. Vote for us based on that.
Yeah, could you see it? Could you see it, Rob? Well, she's weird. Look at her eyes.
I kind of liked it when she did this.
Turn the page.
Turn the page.
Oh, God.
You like that?
Huh?
Okay, so I need you to be with me and practice with me. What are we going to do? We're going to turn the page.
Oh, my God.
Oh, pretty good. Do it again. We're going to turn the page. And we're going to turn the page.
That's what the left thinks about you. I'm not saying the right doesn't either, but I think Trump is more sincere, and I don't see him as your ordinary Republican, if that makes sense.
All right, so I'm going to be watching you because when I see Wisconsin, and I'm going to watch you nationally on TV because this is a pretty important place, and Minnesota helped you practice with this. You just show me this. Turn the page.
God.
Right? Turn the page. And you know what else that looks?
And if I'm not mistaken, I believe Trump chose the Republican Party as the ticket he was going to get on because you do, from what the so-called experts say, I'm just going off what they say, you need to be in one of the main parties to actually get to the presidency, to have a better chance of winning the presidency. I'm pretty sure, judging by the options where the Democrats are taking our country compared to the Republicans, I believe he was like, you know what, the Republicans are a little more sensible overall. Not saying all, but this is just me looking on the inside out, outside in. But yeah, that's why I believe he chose to run as a Republican. So to all the people that hate Republicans just because they're Republicans, I don't think Trump stands for the establishment Republicans that you're used to thinking of when you think of Republican. Well,
Looks like. Bye-bye.
Oh, God.
Bye-bye, Donald Trump.
Oh, TBS, dude.
We are turning the page.
Oh, my God. Bro.
52 days and we are turning the page.
I mean, look who she's married to. Tim.
She is in no danger of ever having to give a Nobel Prize acceptance speech.
Their whole reenactment of this whole thing, Tom, we're familiar with this whole thing. The tassel to the left, to the right. We understand that. I'd like to turn the page on that. But here's the reality.
I'll be over here.
As much as I respect Stephen A. Smith, he is dead wrong, man.
Good job.
The whole concept that she needs to get out there and get out of the basement and she needs to put substance and put some meat on the bone and actually take some tough questions. No, she doesn't. I mean, do we want her to? Do we want her to face the challenge? Do we want her to step up and actually put her feet to the fire? Of course we do. Because I would venture to say that she is probably the least known presidential candidate ever. What do we actually know about her?
Nothing. They didn't vote for Adam. They didn't pick her.
She was coronated as a DEI candidate, per Joe Biden's words, in 2020. She was catapulted when Joe Biden had his meltdown. What do we know about her? We just figured out there's some guy named Tony West that apparently owes billions of dollars.
Yeah,
what's going on with that? I don't know. I've never heard about that. What are her parent, her father, Marx's mother? What's going on with that? The sister? We don't really know that much about Kamala. But listen, if I'm her, I'm doing exactly what I'm doing. Rob, if you pull up to 538, do you know 2 months ago, she was minus 16 underwater favorability ratings. Minus 16. Her unfavorable rating was 53. Her favorability was 37. I sent it to you on Slack. Right now, she is dead even. Kamala Harris. There it is right there. She in a matter of 2 months, she went from irrelevant, unlikable vice president to potentially within 3 points margin of an error, the next president of the United States. This gives me massive concern and pause for concern. But as we learned with anything going on here, as long as you're doing things like turn the page and talking about abortion, there's some people who are deeply emotional that have TDS that they're just like, yeah, I can't do Trump.
But Adam, but you notice
that's the problem.
That jump goes up to approval, Adam, because once the mainstream legacy media machine gets behind you, bro, they can make Kamala Harris look like she's the savior of the world.
How do you go from being completely unlikable, drowning in 2 months,
Adam,
you're neutral and people like you?
Good, Rob.
You know, it's an interesting, if you look at this chart and you follow it and you look at her favorability ratings, look where it drops off. July 13th is when Trump was the first assassination of Trump.
Dumped down?
And, all of a sudden it dives.
And then goes favorable, unfavorable. Well,
and then it crosses.
Now, where is it now?
She's back to 47.1 unfavorable, 46.4.
What's the net?
Well, let's face
point something?
0.6.
So the point is she went from highly underwater, unfavorable, unlikable to now, we're good with Kamala.
Yeah.
So the point is, whatever she's doing is working, although a lot of people see through the BS.
Yeah. Can I challenge you a little bit on that? You just said whatever she's doing is working. We have seen the analysis of the news that the coverage of her is in over 90% positive from all of the big outlets that constitute what the majority of Americans hear. You don't think that 90% positivity is having an impact on, the voters that are in this poll, that are being surveyed here, but that are not really paying attention, that get their news and snack, that deal on perceptions and feelings. You don't think that's driving that here? I think it is.
I definitely think it's fair. Yes,
okay, well, that's not what she's doing. She hasn't done anything grand, and that's the point where I challenge you. Yeah. I don't think she's done anything. I think that she is getting the winds in her sail from the mainstream media.
That's my point, is that she doesn't need to do anything.
There's so much we don't know.
Stephen A. Smith is saying she needs to do more. And basically all the data is like, no, she doesn't.
Yeah. There's a lot we don't know.
Just let the media just put the wind behind her.
But there's a lot we do know, right? We do know that she didn't work at McDonald's, but we do know she was dipping the French fry with Willie Brown. So there's all the things that we do know compared to everybody wants to talk about we don't know. But the more people see,
I think it was potatoes. But it's. Well, go ahead, keep going.
The more people see, they are moving.
Yeah.
And one of the only things that matters, get beyond all of the debate stuff. You know what mattered in the debate? What did the undecideds and the core independent undecideds, what happened to them? Reuters found out they were breaking 7-2 for Trump. And in national polls, you're seeing that start to show up in national polls. And by the way, why do we have a shortage of national polls right now? We've gone a week where we've only had, I think, 6 major pollsters put out a big national poll result. You know why, Adam? The pollsters are sitting on them because they don't match the narrative, and they detect that she's losing a little momentum now. And so it's the mainstream narrative that gives her that 90% positivity is now sitting on a lot of polling data because they don't want it to come out.
We may put the biggest election night event together outside of whatever Kamala and Trump is going to do. We're probably going to put the third biggest one there. You're going to want to be there. And it's going to be awesome. It's going to be wild. It's going to be insane. It'll be a lot of fun, creativity, craziness. But here's the thing. To attend it, you're going to have to buy a ticket to go to it, obviously. The tickets are not going to be, vault type of tickets where you're spending, 15, 20, 25K. We're not talking that. It'll be lower amount tickets that we're doing. However, a barrier to enter. When you come in, you have to wear Future Looks Bright gear. We want the room to be filled with people wearing Future Looks Bright gear. So for some of you that want to fly out November 5th, when I tell you what it is and the announcement is finalized, it's going to be crazy. If you don't yet own Future Looks Bright gear, all you have to go get something. Guys, we have a girl, one of Adam's colleagues, posts a video about her wearing this red vitamin hat. And she's walking around. It's like everybody's stopping and says, "You're also Vitamin, you're also Future." I am. It's amazing what's taking place. Vinny, yesterday, if you want, are you comfortable sharing your story? Go ahead.
I had surgery yesterday back at work because that's how we roll. I had a big cyst removed from my lower back, and I'm in, getting ready pre-op. All the needles are on my arm. I'm ready to go in. A Cuban guy eating a protein bar walks by, stops in his tracks, and goes, "Mira, Vicente Pipiripaca," and then he leaves. He grabs 7 people, Tom. I'm surrounded by 7 people, and all they're talking about is how glad and happy they are that what we're doing, how amazing of a leader Pat is, and what America needs is what's happening right now. People were screaming, "Future Looks Bright" in the back, and then one Haitian lady looks at me and goes, "I want you to tell Adam, thank you for sticking up for the Haitians, because not all of us eat cats." And I go, "But some people do in Springfield." But no.
I'm gonna cut it off right there. I didn't want to cut off when they was doing their promo because I am reacting to their video. But when he brought up the Cuban talking about his hat, it made me think about how it was maybe 2-3 years ago when Cubans were trying to seek refuge in the U.S., but a lot of the Democrats wouldn't allow it because they knew that a lot of those Cubans were going to end up voting Republican. And it just made me think of that scenario. But what else was what I was going to say before I got sidetracked? Yeah, this may be an unpopular opinion, but what do y'all think about there should be some type of test to be taken so you could vote here in the U.S.? Because based off this video, turn the page, just gonna turn the page, we gonna turn the page. People are voting based off silly little things like that. Hopefully it's not working, but if so, our future does not look too bright. But thankfully they got some apparel. The future is bright. Hopefully it will be bright. I try to be optimistic. But Down Home News TV, I am Dre. Y'all have a good evening.